Honorable the Chief Justice of India, the learned Attorney General for India, learned judges of this court, both present and past, Rahul Kaushik, Pragya Baghel, our Vice President and Secretary. It's my pleasure to also welcome Justice B.N. Agarwal, our retired judge of this court here today. Mr. Gopal Subramaniam is here today. Justice S.N. Jha from Patna High Court is here today, and he has also very fond memories of briefing Shri Lal Narayan Sinha. This occasion, the thought of this occasion actually arose in a casual discussion between me and Jayant about a month back, when he mentioned that he wanted a portrait of his father to be unveiled on the 11th of this month, which is today. And it is then only that I remembered that in my earlier executive committee, earlier term as president of the bar, we had passed a resolution to have a portrait of Shri Lal Narayan Sinha also, but somehow that portrait unveiling had not happened. So I thought, why not do both the portraits together? So the first step was to find a nice place in the library, and with Rahul, Vinesh, Pragya and Jayant, we went into the library. We identified a very prominent spot for both of them. So that done, the event was to happen on the 11th in the library itself. But then I felt that this is not an ordinary day in the history of Supreme Court. This is a day where we are actually remembering two giants of our profession, people who have walked the corridors of Supreme Court with respect, with a lot of, intellectual ability, with who have set precedents, who have argued matters of such moment that what Supreme Court we see today, or what the judgments of the Supreme Court most of us rely today, are probably developed by the jurisprudence that these two great gentlemen have evolved over a period of time when they were here in this court. I requested the Honorable Chief Justice of India that instead of doing a normal unveiling, I'd like to do a ceremony for this, and I'm so grateful to the learned Chief Justice for immediately agreeing for this function. In fact, Justice Suryakant had also agreed to come for this function, but unfortunately he realized that he has called the High Commissioner today at the same time, and so last minute he had to back out. There is a surprise for all of you today. The card mentions that there is a virtual of Justice Mr. Parasaran, the former Attorney General, but we also have Justice Venkat, former Chief Justice of India, Justice Venkat Chalaya. He is also volunteered. I requested him, and he has sent also a small video talking about both of them. And very soon we'll have the address on the screen. As far as my association with the two of them is concerned, I'll start with Justice Lal Narayan Sinha ji. I did not have much of an occasion to brief him, because by the time I came into practice, he had already retired from active practice. He had actually, he was living in Delhi. He was advisor to the Government of India after demitting office as the Attorney General for India. And he was living in Delhi. I remember his house, it was 34 Aurangzeb Road. And I used to meet him there once in a while. The memories that I have with him, I think are very, very instructive, and I think it will be a lesson for the younger lawyers, especially these young children who have come from Amity, because I requested that these children also should know, because the first question which everybody asks when they get into law is how to start into the legal profession. So when I was about to, I was in service and I was about to resign, I thought of resigning, and I met Lal Babu before actually resigning. And I said, and by this time I'd already spent about 9 years selling steel away from law. So I said, and I was talking to him in Hindi, and I'll do it like that. So I said, Sir, hum sochte hain wakalat karna chahte hain, naukri chhod ke aana chahte hain. And he had I don't know, people, my guru is here, Mr. L.R. Singh is here, he will recall, a lot of people, Mr. Gopal Subramaniam will also recall. He had this habit of doing this in conferences. So he thought for a while, he said, नहीं आइए, जरूर आइए, बहुत अच्छा आइए. तो मैंने कहा कि हजूर, लेकिन यहाँ तो भीड़ बहुत है इस प्रोफेशन में, और हम तो 9 साल से लोहा बेच रहे हैं, इस प्रोफेशन में हम चल पाएंगे, अपना बना पाएंगे, जगह बना पाएंगे. So he kept doing this. And a little while he said, "Bheed niche hai, upar khali hai." So that was a very, I thought, amazing line to motivate me to come into this profession. And I always remember this line. I tell this wherever I go to meet young students or talk to young students, that this is when you come into this profession, you should come with this vision that you have to go to the top. That is number one. 2, 3 other things which he taught me and which I always remembered was कि अपने क्लाइंट को सीनियर का घर का रास्ता आप नहीं दिखाइएगा. क्लाइंट बोलेगा तो दिखाइएगा, नहीं तो आप खुद बहस कीजिएगा. That is the second lesson he gave me. The third lesson he gave me was that the moment you start practice, even if you can't afford an office of your own, try to create a small place in your house, make it as your office, have a table, sit on that table. If you can have a chair on the other side, once in a while try and meet clients also there. Because he says that feeling of starting as a lawyer is accentuated by having an office of your own and sitting in your own office. And when I say this, I obviously mean for people who want to get into practice, independent practice, and not think of jobs for long terms. And the other lesson that he gave me, which I can never forget, is that if you feel in a particular matter, you have a very strong point, and you feel that the other side, as per the pleadings, have no answer to that point, then don't argue your weak point, because you will dilute the efficacy of your strong point by arguing a weak point. So I think these were 3 very, very important lessons which Lal Babu gave me even before I started in this profession, and I've tried to emulate them to the maximum. In fact, a lot of lawyers tell me when I tell this that sometimes judges को तो weak वाला ही point समझ में आता है, तो क्यों हम लोग छोड़. हमने कहा नहीं, you are right in that way. I don't want you to give up completely, but at the same time you must emphasize that this is the point which I feel has no answer. Lal Babu had while he was alive, he had written a book on the Indian Constitution. Not many people know that. And he had given it to me for getting it published. And before it could be published, he had died. So I got it published after his death. And I remember Justice J.S. Verma had come for the launch of that book in the Taj Mahal Hotel. It's a small book on Constitution. Of course, it's difficult to get, unfortunately. Lal Babu had it's an amazing book if you can get your hands on it. But it's a very insightful book as far as, it's like reading a survey, in a small survey, a pocket survey on the Constitution. His ideas were so reflective. I also had a family terms with him, and that is how probably I knew him so well, and that is how I continued this relationship. And I'm so happy, and it's feeling so elated that I've been able to do this unveiling in this fashion. Mr. Shanti Bhushan, of course, I had a lot of occasion to brief. I must have briefed him in so many matters, and I must tell you about Mr. Shanti Bhushan. Mr. Shanti Bhushan was very thorough with the brief. I have not seen any senior in my life as thorough with the brief as Mr. Shanti Bhushan. He would read page to page, and he would, because he felt sometimes there may be something in a page which the junior may not be knowing, which is important for the case, and accordingly he didn't want to miss any page in the brief. So he was that thorough. He brought in a lot of integrity in the profession. He would take up, in a briefing with him, the most difficult task was to convince him. And convincing him was winning half the battle. Because we used to literally, have a lot of arguments on a proposition or on a point of law or on a factual scenario where he would agree or not agree. And unless he was convinced about the matter, he would not take up the brief. He would also, and that is one lesson, of course, I don't think youngsters should say that, he would get a little more involved in the brief. He would, I tell my juniors and all my, even my sons, that you should be a little detached also. As long as you're inside the court, you should be attached, but the moment you come out of court, you should be detached. He probably, I felt sometimes he used to keep that attachment even later. He used to feel about the client even afterwards. I did a very important matter on pollution with him. It was an environment pollution matter in Indian enviro legal matter. There was my client, he had been punished for having polluted the environment, and he had been able to convince Mr. Shanti Bhushan and also me that he had not done any such activity, and it was all for some reason. Justice Venkat Chalia was about to pass some very strong orders against the Pollution Control Board, and as a retaliation, they had fabricated this report, which was filed. Mr. Shanti Bhushan went to go to the village Bichri, I remember, in Rajasthan, near Udaipur. And he went to the village to see for himself what is the actual situation there. And the wells which was claimed to be polluted, he asked the villagers that, "Aap log iska pani peete hain?" Bole, "Haan, hum log roz peete hain." Then he drank that water. I mean, that's the commitment of the man. You know, he had that commitment for his client, that he actually drank that water, and he, of course, ultimately could not succeed. Of course, that's a different story altogether. But that's the kind of, I would like to give a lesson to everybody, that these are people who have walked the, streets of the corridors of the Supreme Court and left such a imprint that very few people can be able to fit in those shoes. Lal Narayan Sinha was a man of very few words. He used to be very soft-spoken. Shanti Bhushan was very aggressive, two very different individuals in their style of argument. I remember Mr. Parasaran, when we were flying to Patna at the cremation of Lal Narayan Sinha ji, Parasaran sir was sitting next to me, and he said that actually when I was Attorney General after Lal Babu, and if there was any difficult matter, I used to go to Lal Babu to consult him. So that's the kind of respect he had for late Shri Lal Narayan Sinha. So I am extremely privileged to do this function today. And now I'll request Pragya to start the two reels of the two speakers that we have for today.